The 49ers just ruled out Christian McCaffrey for Sunday's game in Minnesota, and Kyle Shanahan said they're discussing putting him on IR. The coach and I will discuss that and more next on the coach's meeting. What's up? Welcome to the coach's meeting. That's the coach. I'm Grant Cohn, live on location in Minneapolis. I know it looks like I'm just in some random, and I am essentially in some random hotel room, but I assure you, I am in one of the Twin Cities. Coach is out here on the East Coast, and Christian McCaffrey is just out in general for this game. It seemed like he was doing so well. Then it was like, last minute, a little sore. Now today, it's like this was his worst day. Seems like he's getting worse. Have the 49ers mismanaged Christian McCaffrey?
No. I feel as though they got everything that they needed from out of the season that we just came out of last year. It was the highest clip that he's ever been used in his career, but although he made it through relatively healthy. One could say that if we pace, the logic that's out there is that, if we would have paced Christian along, he would have more in the tank. We would be more economic with his health, and maybe he would still be here for camp. Be here for the season, but I don't see it that way. We used Christian for exactly what he was needed for at the time last year. I think if we would have got anything less out of how we used Christian or how he was managed last season, I don't even think we would have made it to the Super Bowl. So this is just a running back that's getting older. We all know that running backs hit a wall very quickly. They fall off of a cliff, especially when they get a little older. Christian has had a injury history, and I feel like this is more of what we worried about when we first got Christian. We understood that he gets hurt a lot. There was times where consistency was the biggest issue that he had, and it looks like that we stayed away from it. But now a little bit of reality is setting in, especially with him being older. So I don't want to start going back and having revisionist history. He's being managed well right now, especially if he's not definitely out for the season.
Well, just for the record, I was saying this last year. I did feel like they were overusing him. I feel like they ran him into the ground a little bit like they did with Elijah Mitchell and Raheem Mostert. So I just want to stay consistent there. But like when I'm talking about mismanagement, I think I'm talking more about this year because he injures his calf again in early August. Mm-hmm. And they feel like rest will help it. And now, like, whatever their plan is to like ramp him back up in a game action seems to be like actually causing harm. So it seems like their plan isn't working. I mean, maybe that's hindsight, but it just seems like they thought they didn't put him on IR week 1. They thought he'd be healthy clearly by week 3. Otherwise, they would have put him on week 3 or week 4. They didn't do that. They tried to get him back now. They didn't really need him right now. And he says it's the worst it's been. Like, that doesn't sound great. I think now they need to put him on IR and just let it be 100%. Stop trying to force the issue. That's how I feel like they've mismanaged it.
Well, literally the last words that you said in your take is how I feel, forcing the issue. I mean, if we're going to talk about mismanagement, then I feel like that could be something that could be tracked to this year, how he's been paced out to be healthy, and a little bit of last year. Forcing the issue is true. I mean, they have not been shy about, once they understood what Christian McCaffrey could do for the team, they've been very bullish and heavy on just using him, not even trying to be creative, not necessarily in how they use him, but creative in other players being able to take some brunt off of Christian. Christian is heavily used. And then if you want to stick with forcing the issue here, it does seem like they really can't afford or don't want to give him the exact time that it takes to fully feel comfortable to be ready. You see, he had his worst day yesterday. They're still pacing him out. They're not necessarily bending the knee on him being in IR. I don't think that they understand that you could force the issue to a point where it's like he's done for the year. You guys really didn't give him a chance to nurse this. You kept having all of these workout days, trying to pace him out through practice, having setbacks during practice, and he's never really had the true time to just get rest and recovery. And dare I say it, Ricky Persola's in this situation too, but we don't know what we don't know, Grant. All of these situations come out. We find out stuff that is like posthumous. It's way down the line. I mean, we don't know if what the real injury is and if they're trying to stave off surgery. And that's probably why they're pacing him out, because they want to stay away from surgery.
You're watching the coaches meeting sponsored by BetUS. Here's my question. If when he initially injured the calf or re-injured the calf in early August, I mean, they knew then, I'm guessing, that there was an Achilles component. And if they had said, you know what, this is really risky, let's shut him down right now. Let's put him on IR right now. And we will not have him start getting into football shape until it's 100% healed. Would he be better off today as opposed to what they did, which was he's limited. He's going to be working out. He might be back for week 1. He might be back for week 2. Like, it seems like they've made it worse.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, of course, Grant. Hindsight is 2020. If they would have shut him down in August and completely said, hey, we're going to stay away from it right now, we'll have a real plan. We'll wait and see. And the wait is 6 weeks, right? And from there, we'll see. You know, maybe he would be in a better position. But however, you got to understand that this is the injury game is a little different from what we think it is. There is the organization taking over. Then there's kind of like the light nudge from the coaching staff, because they can't really truly weigh in on injuries, right? They're not ethically, they can't. But then also there's the player side. There's the player that how the context of his injury, the pain threshold that he has with his injury. And I got to be honest, if we're talking about having a patient that's going to sit there and be still, Christian McCaffrey does not strike me as the best patient. He doesn't strike me as a guy who says, I'm going to wait. Okay, yes, I'm going to take this time off. I need to relax, right? And I feel like from a coaching staff perspective, it's very easy to turn a blind eye to that and be like, oh yeah, Christian is always ready to go. Christian loves to play, right? But sometimes you need to save him from himself. And that's my biggest issue that I feel like may be happening with Christian, is that they don't save him from himself. Every time they talk about him loving the reps, him always wanting to be on the field, him never wanting to give up opportunities. It's like all of that's great and it's cool in a soundbite, but now you see where it gets you, right?
Yep. And it seems to me like the Niners are trying to make it seem like, you know, this is a finicky injury. Some days is good, some days is bad. It's random. And it's recently just gotten randomly bad. And we have sort of had an enlightenment experience, and we realize now that there's no percentage, there's no benefit in rushing this. And we have Jordan Mason, so we're going to take our time. It's possible that that's what it is, but it also kind of feels like when the BS meter goes on, like, yo, did he have a setback in practice? Were you trying to get him ready for this game or next week? And was he going a little too hard? And did he have a setback? Like, God forbid he injured himself in practice when he's less than 100%. So we don't know. They won't tell us, but that's where my mind goes. Like, what happened in practice, man?
Yeah, definitely. It's for sure that something happened in practice, because this is their problem. No, not their problem, but this is just like their mode. This is what they do. They're always going to treat us like mushrooms. They're going to feed us shit and keep us in the dark at all times. Though they pace out what they ethically have to put out there so it can be said on wax. Hey, we said this, right? Timelines can always be mixed up. But one thing's true is that when they immediately give information during practice of when it comes to games, because we can always pace the news by the games now, because there's certain information that they have to have out independent of us knowing. So them coming right out and saying, hey, we got to change course with Christian. Things are moving differently. All of that stuff is stuff that they're forced to say right now, because it has roster implications. It has them looking forward their opponent, making sure that they stay in line with the league. We just had almost a little snafu with that last week. So right now, yeah, practice, you can almost look at something that's happening in those checkups. And
what's interesting about the CMC situation, it really mirrors the Pearsall situation. Of course, not the not the big incident with Pearsall, but before then with the shoulder.
Right.
You know, it's an incident. It's a reoccurrence. It happens early in the offseason. The Niners shut him down, but only temporarily, bring him back. It happens again. And they keep saying it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. And then it's like, well, you know, actually maybe. So that's a little bit of their pattern this offseason with Pearsall and McCaffrey. Maybe not. I don't know how to put it, but it's like, if you had just been more conservative early on, you may have had better results later on. I mean, it's hard to shut a guy down so early in the offseason, but
they got big bills to pay, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's all hands on deck. One thing right now is that I'm probably seeing like starters or guys are probably being pushed to play right now because we really have to see. We don't know where we stand with depth, Grant. We just don't understand. We don't know what the next man up is going to do. And if we did have the depth, you would see them lean into it a little bit more. You know, by hook or crook, we saw a little bit of that in Jordan Mason playing this week. But now Jordan Mason has gone from a great added weapon that's been long overdue to now the tip of the spear now. So he's like it now.
He's the running back room.
Yeah. So right now, as far as the running back room is concerned, Patrick Taylor and Isaac Guerendo really don't move the needle in my eyes. I know those are names that we like to, you know, put out there because they're running backs in there with the 49ers, but I haven't seen those guys play. I don't know what they can do. So right now,
neither the
only
Niners.
guy, right. And honestly, they just found out with Jordan Mason. So our running back room right now is tenuous. We need to, I think we maybe need to go kick the tires on a guy or two.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Again, you're watching The Coaches Meeting, sponsored by BetUS. Jay McCallan says Lombardi got a job at the SF Standard, explains bias. ASKDJ says put CMC on IR and he will be back in time for KC. What matters is if he's back in time for the playoffs. That's really where we're at with Christian McCaffrey. I think they can probably get there without him, but in the meantime, in between time, Coach, do the Niners need another running back?
Yeah, 100%. Right now, the reason why they need another running back is because I don't want Isaac Guerendo to become the next Elijah Mitchell. Jordan Mason obviously needs to be spelled in today's NFL game. And we probably need somebody else because I don't know what Patrick Taylor can do. And what I've seen him in preseason doesn't necessarily pop off the screen. One thing that I would love for them to get is they don't even have to really go get a traditional running back. They don't have to go get a guy that can run between the tackles. They can go ahead and go get a smaller third down running back. Somebody can actually replicate what CMC was going to bring for the majority of the season anyway. They can find a good running game package with Jordan Mason, Patrick Taylor, and Isaac Guerendo as a tandem. But really, as far as just that threat that threat of a pass catcher from the backfield outside of Deebo Samuel, we just don't have it. They're going to end up having to go get somebody if Christian doesn't come back soon.
I mean, Matt Breida's a free agent. I know he's not the greatest running back in the world, but he fits the scheme. We saw him on the team a couple of weeks ago. He looked to me like he was still fast, explosive. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Patrick Taylor Jr. made the team because of special teams. And same with Isaac Guerendo. So great. Special teams is important, but you're down to one running back now that you trust to carry the ball. And God, if he goes down in this game, if Jordan Mason goes down in the first quarter, they're going to lose to the Vikings. They're going to lose to Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it's a real defense, especially with the addition of Van Ginkel and Tillery. These boys they are not the Jets. This is a completely different ballgame defensively. So yeah, Jordan Mason, like we said, he is the guy now. It went from a good story to, man, he's our number one for real. Like he's not an addition. I will say, with Christian McCaffrey being out, this is a good opportunity to see what we have in the running back room. There's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be in and out this year, and I feel like this is a theme that's going to carry out throughout the entire season, Iggy, where guys are going to have to step up, and notable names are kind of going to fade into the back. But some are going to have to come into the front where I believe that we're gonna find something in Isaac Guerrero. Either we're gonna find out he's a guy, or we're gonna have to move on from him. But this system is plug and play for the running backs that they have. We'll see what we can do. Especially, this is another thing too. I say this all the time. I know people in the stream are gonna say, "Coach says this," but this is kind of who we really were in the beginning anyway. Like, we don't do the $19 million a year running back who is the best leading rusher in the league. Like, that's not what we do. It's not the Niners DNA. So this really, I mean, I understand that they want their guy 100% just of what Christian McCaffrey brings, but they should really this kind of falls into their wheelhouse of being able to move forward. Like, they should know what to do. Before Christian McCaffrey, we lived in like the Raheem Mostert side of the game. You know what I mean? Not to disparage him, not like he's not a good running back, but he's definitely not a box office guy. So they should be okay.
They should certainly be okay in the running game. I think where they suffer without Christian, where you can really notice his absence, because again, like the outside zone scheme, Bobby Turner, like he can get anyone to average 5 yards a carry. They'll be able to run the ball, but it's the passing game. It's the amount of attention that McCaffrey draws running a route. It's unlike any other running back in the league. And even with Aiyuk and Debo and Kittle on the field, CMC draws the most attention. So how do you sort of, I mean, we saw one game of it against a team that didn't really show up, but like against this team, it could be a bigger deal. How do you see like the domino effect of not having McCaffrey out there on a pass play?
Well, number one, I think it's going to be incumbent for Brandon Aiyuk to really get up to speed as quickly as possible. The biggest thing is that they're just going to crowd the box. The run game, the reason why the run game for us is feared is because it's not how can I say, there's no tricks. It just works. It schematically, fundamentally works. You are forced to have to cover the run game with the outside zone. And with that, that gives Kyle a remarkable amount of leverage to be able to still set up those running formations, but have somebody in Christian McCaffrey line up at the slot, still be out in the back as shotgun. It makes defensive crowd the line of scrimmage, because not only do they have to cover every blade of grass for if he does get the ball in the backfield, but they have to be there for all of the short, intermediate, two-way goes that he has, the option routes that Christian McCaffrey has, the China routes that literally it's a cheat code. His China route is unguardable, right? It really puts a lot of stress on the middle of the defense with linebackers, but it makes you have to over-communicate on the defensive line, because you know that even if you do have the gap, he still has the vision to cut back and get through the back door. I mean, he's a real problem offensively. And without him, defenses get to cheat. They get to the Niners actually slow down as an offense without Christian McCaffrey, because what happens is that the lanes get slower. You don't get to the outside as fast as you can. And what happens is that you don't have a runner in Christian McCaffrey who gets to play with the tempo of the defense. With Jordan Mason, he's got one speed, right? He sticks his foot in the ground. He's going to run as hard as he can, and that's good on him. But Christian is one of those running backs that makes you right? Even when you're wrong. On defense, you can't shoot gaps. You can't shoot gaps and kind of play with your ears pinned back with the running back like Christian. Without him, you can tee up, you can go up, you can really crash, right? That crack toss really doesn't seem as scary if Christian can't get out there. I mean, you have a back end, Jordan Mason, that's going to be slower to get out there. He's going to be more physical, but you're going to be able to cover your gap. So I'll tell you this right now, Christian helps the quarterback with being able to bail him out with routes that he gets open. He gets so open in his intermediate routes from the backfield that you really don't have to be accurate throwing him the ball. You could just throw in his general direction. All of that is gone. So even the checkdowns that Brock is going to be throwing to Jordan Mason, it's more of a, here, let me help you help me. This ball has to be perfect so you can be able to get this. With throwing the ball to Christian McCaffrey, it truly is a check down. You're kind of just throwing into his general area, and Christian's letting you know, I got the rest from here. Also defensively, they're going to be able to dictate to us because it takes away from a little bit of the multiplicity of our defense, right? Receivers are receivers, running backs are running backs. You know what they are and what they can do. With Christian not out there, with Christian out there, you don't know what his capability is based on where he is on the field, or even if he's a focal point of the defense of the play. All of that is gone with him not being on the field. So those are just some of the things that come to mind.
The other thing, it's like Aiyuk was so pressed about being a number one option and getting the respect and calling himself the number one receiver. And he technically gets the most targets, but McCaffrey gets a volume of touches that no one else does. And when he's gone, it's hard to make up that volume. So like Aiyuk's a hell of a receiver, right? But when does he ever have a game where it's like he has 12 catches and he carries the offense? He's not that kind of player. And sometimes Kyle tries to make Debo that kind of player, but he's really not that kind of player either. And George at this stage of his career isn't that kind of player either. Like, if we're being brutally honest about Kittle, Brandon, and Debo, they're all high-level complementary players. And when you have Christian on the field and all eyes are on him because it's so hard to stop all the different things that he can do, then yeah, Brandon Aiyuk's going to kill you if you're not thinking about him. But still, like, if you want to stop the Niners offense, the Chief said it. You have to stop Christian. He's their offense. And if you do, you got a chance. So it's going to be interesting to see the Niners reinvent themselves without him.
Yeah, they really are. And if you think about it, this is a problem that they never truly answered. When Mike McDaniel left before Christian McCaffrey got here, it'll be really poignant for you to look back at that period of time before we got Christian. The offense was sputtering. We were only scoring 19 points a game. It was hard for us to move the ball, and everybody was healthy. Debo was here. Brandon Aiyuk was here. Christian McCaffrey.
10
George
points against the Bears, 10 points against the Broncos, 14 points against Atlanta, 23 points against Kansas City, and that was in McCaffrey's first game.
Yeah, and that's what they looked like before they got Christian. And then all of a sudden, that Christian got here, and then it became the 100% Christian McCaffrey show. 100%. Okay, so really, if you think about it, since Mike McDaniel has left, Kyle has really never shown any type of exceptional offensive prowess with this group without having a Christian McCaffrey type player on the offense to kind of be the base, and everything else is added on top of what Christian brings. So it'll be interesting to see.
And the way that Kyle leverages Christian is like, okay, so Christian can do so much. He can run every different type of run concept in our playbook, and he can line up in a lot of different spots. So we're going to overwhelm you with preparation. Christian McCaffrey prep is just every day. And it's so many different concepts. It's first down, it's second down, it's third down. And you don't really get to prep Aiyuk and Debo and Kittle as much. So that's how he gets you. But when McDaniel was here and they didn't have McCaffrey, like McDaniel could take a player who's like Debo, who's kind of the opposite of McCaffrey in the sense that he's limited. There's a lot that Debo can't do, but there's a few things he does really freaking well. And I thought when McDaniel was here, the Niners highlighted those really well. Now, not so much anymore. I mean, it's much more about Christian because there's nothing he can't do.
Yeah, I mean, Debo gets force-fed the ball in this offense. We all see it. We see him get as many targets as possible. And they're bad reps. It's like slants, screens, now routes, like balls thrown behind the line of scrimmage, and then the occasional fade because it's an element of surprise because you expect him to do something short. So really, it's going to be on Kyle to see exactly how he paces out this offense. The only thing that I will say is that what has grown since Christian has gotten here is Brandon Aiyuk has become more of a player. We have the emergence of Brock Purdy. So really, we're going to be able to see exactly what BA can do. He says that he wants to be the number one option. Well, now you got it, buddy. It's easy to say that you want to be number one when you got a player that's the best player at his position in the league, and he's tipping over 400 touches, right? It's kind of rich to say, I want to be number one. It's like, all right, well, do you want to be number one after him? Or do you want all of those touches? Because that's an entire workload, bro. So we'll see.
Yeah, let's check out what's going on with BetUS sponsoring the show. Let's check out the betting lines for the Niners. Where are they at? Minnesota is where they're playing. It's where I am right now, I believe. Sometimes it's hard to know. Should I pass
Many.
it? Cleveland, Seattle, New England. I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Hold on. Do it again.
49ers.
It's definitely not the top one. Go ahead.
It's not in there. Interesting. Why'd they do me like that? Week 2.
Week 2.
49ers.
49ers.
Weird.
Travel to Minnesota.
Weird. Huh. I
I
guess they don't have it. Well, they'll have it tomorrow. For now, let's look at some other lines.
Look at those
Ravens,
lines.
Raiders, Cowboys, Saints, Lions, Buccaneers. Lions 8-point favorites over the Bucks. 8. 8. I don't like
That's
that.
a lot.
That's a lot.
8 points is huge.
I kind of like the Bucks. I feel like Baker Mayfield is.
Baker Mayfield is like upper mid.
I mean, he was the best quarterback in the league in week 1. Do 4 touchdown passes.
Okay, respect.
I mean,
Respect.
I'm not saying he was. I mean, statistically, he was the best quarterback in the league week 1. He's definitely worth what they're paying him in Tampa.
Hell
Cleveland's
yeah.
gotta feel stupid for running him out of town. Like that was the only guy who took him to the playoffs. He gets hurt. Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad makes a video and he's gone. And now you got Deshaun Watson. Like, cool. That's what you get. So yeah, I like Tampa in that one. What about Jacksonville, Cleveland?
Dude, I'll take Cleveland.
Oh, you really want to put your faith in Deshaun? Not a big
Yeah,
Trevor
well,
Lawrence
you
fan
put it
either.
like that. I'm not a Trevor Lawrence guy.
I mean, neither.
The Jags always find a way, man, to screw it
lose.
up.
They really
Yeah,
do.
did you see them play last week?
Yeah, they were winning and then they lost.
Yeah. Taking a Browns,
Okay.
bro.
Seattle, New England, Jets, Titans. Yuck. Giants,
That's
Commanders, Rams, Cardinals.
Oh, that's a good one.
Rams are beat up.
The Rams, I was just about to say the Rams are banged up. I'm still taking the Rams.
Yeah, that Cardinals team.
It's
Kyler Murray. I keep wanting to like Kyler Murray, but I think the fact that he got paid all that money
It's
before
over,
he really
bro.
proved himself has hurt him.
It's over.
Chiefs, Bengals, Broncos, Steelers, Texans, Bears.
CJ versus Caleb. Oh, Atlanta Eagles might be a good game. Atlanta, Philly.
awful.
Atlanta did look awful.
Pittsburgh, Denver.
How did we think they had so much promise, man? The synergy was
Everyone
like
thought they would win that division. I don't. People didn't bargain for the fact that Kirk Cousins is freaking washed. I think he's washed.
He is washed.
I mean, him and Rodgers look like just.
Did you
in
see
need of retirement.
Rodgers with the old man face? You see his like bewilderment through the helmet, how he was like staring into the camera.
Yeah,
Like,
it's time.
It's time.
He doesn't
Yeah.
even really look like an athlete out there
An
anymore.
athlete. Yeah, he doesn't look like an athlete.
He doesn't. He's like walking gingerly around there. Anyway, what was I want to say?
They look like they grabbed him from the stands. He's like, yeah, I'll pitch it around a little bit. Won a state championship in 72. I'll make it rain out here.
Go to BetUS TV and receive 150% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube250. So that means you can receive 150% on your first deposit and 125% on your next 2. So 150% on the first deposit and 125% on the next 2. Just want to make sure that we're clear about that. Okay. Let's take some super chats because people have been asking. People want to know.
What do they want to know?
Some things. Geodude, we got you. No, we didn't. Geodude says if the CMC injury was hidden, could the Niners void the contract? I think what's rough about the injuries, it seemed like they knew about it. It happened last year.
Man, yeah. That kind of kills that. That kind of got me going for like a millisecond. But this is an injury that's been happening for a while. This has been here.
It seems like the Niners have known and been downplaying it or wishing it away. Moises Rosales says, any word on when Greenlaw will be back? Take your time, 49ers.
Stop
doing
guys.
this to your players.
We're doing it already. As fans, we're doing it already.
Like, I don't know. Hopefully that
like, man,
whatever the timetable is, 2 more weeks.
They should have really waited on Christian, man. If they could just only just wait and save their players.
And here's my question. I want to ask you this earlier. I forgot to. If the 49ers had played Jordan Mason a little bit more in the last 2 years, or were really certain of what they had in him, because now they know. Right now, they freaking know. If they knew, would they have shut down Christian earlier?
Well, there's two words that kill all of that. Elijah Mitchell. That's really what has hurt Jordan Mason's maturation process, is that Kyle has been so fixated on fitting Elijah into this mode of what he gave us in his rookie year. And Elijah just keeps getting hurt year after year after year. Like, that's the problem. So, yeah.
But again, if the Niners knew then what they know now about Jordan, would it have changed their process with Christian? Because I don't know the answer to it. I think it's a good question. We don't know.
I don't know, because at the same time, last year, the way they pushed it is that the load was on Christian. Like, they wanted to actually spell him, but Christian won't come off the field. Like, isn't that how they spun it to us?
But they also said, like, Jordan doesn't know his assignments, and Jordan isn't a pro yet, and Jordan has to sort of learn how to work with Bobby. And then this year, boom, light bulb goes on. It's like, man, I yes and no. Like, I think he could have done this last year. If you really knew that you had this incredible backup running back, maybe that changes how you approach your expensive starting running back with an Achilles issue. But you knew it was an Achilles issue, Kyle.
But it's the same thing, though, Grant. Like, look at how we just talked about this the other day, with how they're kind of pouring water on Pooney's, like, the praise of him. Praise of Pooney. Like, I just talked to him the other day. He's got to calm down. I think, in a way, Jordan Mason got a little bit of that. Like, all right, hey, kid, you don't block that well. You're not really a catcher. I mean,
just because you average 6 yards a carry in the NFL, I'm not that impressed, buddy.
And if you think about it, Niners probably have a rollout plan for certain guys where it's like, look, we got a high-profile team. The moment anybody gets an ounce of success on this roster, their dollars are going to go through the roof and think that they have a cachet. The last thing we need is Jordan trying to pace Jordan, knowing that he's quite frankly better than some of the starters who we counted on. Like, Jordan Mason, out of the box, is better than Jeff Wilson Jr. Out of the box, right? Yeah. Like, so these are guys that we've depended on, right? That spent some time with us. So with Jordan, why doesn't it help a little bit to kind of like put a little bit of like grooming on him, where it's like, look, you're not that good, kid. I mean, you're not Christian, right? So you're nowhere near being a starter of starting caliber here, but they're not going to let him know how close he is to what their process of starting is, right? What good does it do the Niners to let Jordan Mason know, hey, truthfully, you're a number one, but Christian is just all world. We just want to be truthful with you. Like, Jordan's gonna be like, I'm out of here. Like, as soon as I get opportunity to leave, I'm gone. So yeah, they knew. We knew. Like, what are we talking about? If we knew, they knew. We've been saying that Jordan Mason was a starting running back for at least 2 years. Like, yo, play him. To me, like, the only thing that's changed the last couple of weeks, like last week, the Niners were like, he's gonna play. Oh, last second he can't go. Jordan Mason goes crazy. Now it's like, you know what? We're gonna be cautious. So either Jordan Mason exceeded expectations, or this dude had a setback in practice, and it might be the second one, man. I don't know, because the way he put it today is like, it's the worst it's been. Like, that implies a setback. What happened? No. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me dispel all doubt right now. Something definitely happened in practice. When you say as a coach, this was by far his worst day, which means that there have been other days, which means that worst is different from the progress of best, better, or getting close. And the fact that today was his worst day means that you're trying to pace out an injury that kind of the roof fell out today.
Yesterday was their big practice. Was their big practice. So they go aggressively. He's out there, and he was listed as limited, though. That's like, he's not even doing the 10. I don't know, man. It just seems strange. Robert Baldacci says we screwed up. How do we justify the money we just gave him? That's Denise
that's
York's
crazy.
burner right there.
That's crazy. Yeah, we did just pay him a boatload, didn't we, Hunter?
It's almost like it was like for the past, not for the future. Hey, thanks so much for everything. Here's a little bonus for your wedding. I'm sorry. Ninth Wonder Comic says Debo will help pick up carries at running back, which means we need to work in cowing to our 3-1 sets to give this offense a new dynamic. Keep up the good work. Yes,
I don't think
Debo at running back hasn't worked in a while.
That's over. That's over, guys. I know that because we see it, it looks familiar to us. But as far as the production is concerned, there's nobody fooled by that element anymore. That is over.
Also, it's like they said Jordan Mason couldn't play for 2 years until he learned his blocking assignments. You really think Debo Samuel knows any of the running back assignments beyond what he's supposed to do on the particular plays where he's in the backfield? I bet he doesn't.
But they could find opportunities for Debo to play bespoke and one-off carries in the backfield, but you couldn't carve out 8 carries for Jordan Mason just to carry the ball. You see what I'm saying? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. This dude with a bunch of letters says, will Parag charge back CMC's contract?
Not charge back.
No. Corey Soda says, my guess Purdy will regress without CMC. That is by far the position most affected. Who knows how much, but his TDs will and efficiency will go down. I'll take it a step further, Corey. Everyone will regress without CMC. Aiyuk, Debo, Kittle, Kyle. Everyone. Trent. And it's funny. We were talking yesterday, like a couple of weeks ago, about what would happen if they lost Kittle. What would happen if they lost McCaffrey? I do think now that it's upon us, we can see that McCaffrey's absence affects everyone. I'm not saying Kittle's absence wouldn't, but McCaffrey's absence affects everyone.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's definitely given them a swagger that they didn't have before, right? Now they're all going to have to go hunt for what they eat. They got to kill for what they eat. So now,
all right, Brandon, you're getting $30 million a year. Here we go.
Got to go.
For just such an occasion, right?
Yeah, you're the guy, and
you're
there's
the future, not Christian.
Yeah.
Like this is a reality the team's going to face sooner or later. So come on, it's no problem, man. It's no problem. You're that guy.
Yeah.
Shake my head. CMC first to get paid to hide injuries to slide 23. Sudden chaos. Never miss a show. Keep it real, Grant. Thank you, man. G.I. Joe Jones says, Grant, you hear Nick Wright wants you on a show? What?
Is that facts?
Is that facts?
Don't cat, G.I. Joe.
What? Wait a second. I want to go. Let's do it. Sounds great to me. Robert Baldacci says the Madden curse.
How much of this is the Madden curse? I was just about to ask that.
That was consistently a thing when we were kids, like every year.
Every year. It was, who was that? Eddie George got hurt. Ray Lewis got hurt. Dante Culpepper got hurt. Donovan McNabb. Yeah. Everybody got Michael Vick got hurt.
Yep. That was the one. The Michael Vick Madden, I think it was 04. That was the peak Madden. All you had to do was play with Vic and go 5 wide, and you could do whatever you wanted to do.
I would say Madden 10 was when it was just perfect. It was just,
I stopped playing.
I paid my rent with Madden 10. Go crazy with Madden 10.
All right. Let me go. I want to talk about Aiyuk for a second because he was the focus of everything for freaking 5 months. And now he kind of wants to slink to the back of the class because he's not playing so well. Like, no, Brandon, right here, right up front. There is a whole lot of pressure on him and he can't duck it. And afterwards, a game where he has 28 yards, he can't be like, oh, not my best. Don't really want to watch that on film. I feel like of all the players on the Niners right now, he might be under the most pressure because of all the attention he brought to himself. Like now it's time to justify it.
Yeah, I'm seeing Brandon. He's kind of, how you get hangry and you may snap a little bit.
Yeah,
and you finally then you get something to eat. And
I said a lot of things. Said a lot of things. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't know where it came from.
Yes. I feel like Brandon Aiyuk is having his post-hangry moment in all of his interviews where he's like, yeah, that was a little weird. It's that was kind of on me. I shouldn't have done that. And really, that's cool for us to be able to notice that. But the truth is that now you got to show and prove, Brandon. You you said a lot during the offseason. It's not what you did, it's how you did it. And it's what you said. And fans, the internet is undefeated, baby. All of those quotes are still out here. All of that pay for a Lamborghini. You was out there looking like a Tahoe on Monday night. You talk about something. You want that wasn't no Lamborghini. That wasn't no Lamborghini.
Not at all. And I think it's so interesting. Like, it happens all the time in the NFL, but I feel like players don't. They're prisoners of the moment, like, or fans too. Guy's great. He's young. He outperforms his contract. He's due for a big payday. Fans love him, rally behind him. Man, this guy he's under respected and he's underrated. And then they get the contract, and fans freaking rejoice. And then it could be the first game, dude. One game where the dude has 28 yards. All of those good feelings are gone. The honeymoon is over, and it's like, dude, you are not living up to your contract. And it's weird how things flip. All of a sudden, you're not like a cult figure. You're not someone that people can rally around. Like, this guy is playing for the love of the game and being under compensated. It's like, nah, like $30 million a year, and you were upset about 26. Like, okay, well then we kind of expect 120 and a touchdown. So even if you do 120 and a touchdown, it's like, that's what 30 million pays for. And if you don't, it's like angst. So that's why, in retrospect, it's like Brandon might have been smart to just take the 26, because he would have been looked at as a freaking like philanthropist. Like, oh my God, he's giving money back to the organization and the community. He's such a team guy. But you want 30, dude, and you have 28 yards in a game. There's no sympathy anymore. None.
I mean, it all plays. And really, if we just take your scenario a step further, really who the angst would be pointed at would be Christian McCaffrey, because now everybody will be saying like, dude, you asked for a pay raise in the middle of your deal after you forced your way onto the field to take all of the reps, and you knew you were hurt,
and you knew you weren't right.
You knew you were hurt.
Yeah.
Like, you held out too. It's not even like you negotiated. You held out.
Yeah.
And you knew you were hurt, and you went. So that's the thing, that Brandon has done himself no favors, because of he's kind of like held the banner for the disgruntled players with the 49ers. Now, because he's the poster child for that narrative, nobody's really going to realize that CMC possibly could have held out for more money when he was in the middle of his contract, by the way. Okay. And he was already the highest paid running back in the league. So it's not as if he wanted to beat somebody. He just wanted to beat his own record. So they doubled down, gave him more money, and he knew he was hurt while he did it. And it's kind of wild. But, you know, this is one of the CMC situation is where you do understand why the organization is so like skittish on paying guys, like when situations like this, because I'm sure there's a conversation somewhere in some office in that building where they're saying, what in the holy hell did we do? Like, what the hell's going on? We didn't know this guy was hurt before we doubled down and paid him this money just months ago. Like, what's going on? Who got leveraged? So that's I know that conversation is happening.
But then bringing it back to BA, like, let's say McCaffrey misses 8 games and BA just doesn't play well. And it's like, well, damn, is it because is he not in football shape? Is it because he missed training camp? Is it because McCaffrey's not out there? Like did BA's had one great year. It was the McCaffrey year.
The 1 year, yeah.
It was,
everybody had a great year that year.
Yeah, like, it's possible that he took his game to the next level, or it's possible that having Christian on the field takes everyone's game to the next level. Like, it's scary to think that the Niners just poured in all that money to a resource, and then they're going to learn things that they may not know in the next couple of months and not know how to necessarily interpret them. So there's a lot of pressure on BA.
You think that they know, though, Grant? Do you think they know? You think that they understand that Christian McCaffrey ultimately lifted all of their games to another level?
Yes.
Or do you?
I think Kyle does. Yes.
I don't think the BA knows.
No, I agree with that.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree with that. Yes.
I think that BA.
You don't want to allow him to acknowledge that.
Exactly. Like, yeah. I think that BA got 1,400 yards and whatever he did that year and thought to himself, I'm being suppressed on this offense, and look at what I did with my
numbers. It's a run first offense. It's all about Christian.
It's a run first offense, and look what I was able to do. Like, think about this conversation.
All right,
now
well, now
that
it's not a
we're
run first offense, man. Now go ahead. Yeah.
hear this out. Hear me out. Think about this. This is look at where we are with the CMC situation, where we can see how everything can change. But this is coming from a Brandon Aiyuk who told the Niners, "Don't forget what got you there." Like Brandon Aiyuk said that to the 49ers. Like, so I don't think that they even realize what this is going to look like without him in the regular season. Like, I don't think that they understand, like, all right, you got 1,400 with arguably one of the best running backs in the league and to ever play this game on your squad. And I don't think you're giving that enough credit. So let's see what you can do now without him.
All right, one more topic. Purdy and money. It seems like for the last couple of years, what teams have done in the NFL, you have a young quarterback or any quarterback who's had some success, cash him out. Make him 5-year contract, make him one of the highest paid players in the league. Teams just sort of do it reflexively. But it seems like there's more and more examples of teams who are like really dissatisfied with their decision. It started a few years ago with the Eagles trading Carson Wentz when they still had a lot of guaranteed money left on their deal. But now there's so many teams in that situation, like the Giants with Daniel Jones, an awful contract that they wish they could get out of. The Jets with Aaron Rodgers, the Browns with Deshaun Watson, the Broncos with Russell Wilson last year, the Cardinals with Kyler Murray. The Vikings finally getting out of Kirk Cousins. What else? I mean, the Jaguars just gave all that money to Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. The Dolphins just gave all that money to Tua. The Lions gave a ton of money to Goff. I keep going. The Bengals, I mean, they gave a ton of money to Burrow. He's been hurt a lot. So, of all the mega extensions, the Bills are satisfied. The Chiefs are satisfied. Is anyone else truly 100% satisfied with all the money they've shelled out to their quarterback?
Probably the Rams.
The Rams got a Super Bowl out of it. Are the Packers wondering, like, we made Jordan Love the highest paid player in the league for one half of a great season, and now he's hurt. Like,
I think every quarterback outside of maybe like a handful, maybe 2 or 3, everybody else is pretty much faking it. Like, they know that they have a flawed vessel, but they rather say they're a team with a quarterback and prop him up to be like a championship franchise leading man, because quarterbacks are a number one way to galvanize a franchise, and quarterbacks are another way to get a lot of guys fired. So it's kind of like the president. Like, quarterbacks are not necessarily leaders; they're just representations of stronger companies, right? That's what quarterbacks are. They're not. So with these guys, yeah, you can look at them for their literal functionality, but some of these guys are paper bulls, man. Like, they don't move the needle. Like, really, how does Miami pay Tua? Come on, man. Like, he's not a starting quality quarterback. And then that's not even the with the health situation to boot, right? Like, Kyler Murray is, he's not a quarterback. He's a good athlete who could throw the ball, but he's not a quarterback.
Like the things they say about Sam Darnold, he can throw, he can move.
Yeah.
He's not a good quarterback per se. Yeah, I think they're right. And it's like when a guy's toolsy, but he hasn't put it all together yet, but you pay him already, it's like, well, what incentive does he have to actually finish the job as opposed to go play Call of Duty?
Yeah.
So here's a question. Let me bring it back on topic to Purdy. You look at all these like really expensive quarterbacks disappointing their teams quickly. Then you look at Baker, who's in the middle, making 30-ish, like not top of the market money, but not no money.
Solid.
Yeah, and it's like, so far, Tampa seems like they're pretty happy with him. He's under contract for a few more years. If he were a free agent next year, and Brock Purdy were a free agent next year, and the Niners could sign Brock for 60 or Baker for 30, what would you rather do?
I'd sign Baker.
Me too. And that's no knock on Brock. I think Brock's probably better than Baker, but this is the equation. And Brock for 60 is a no-go for me. Just like any quarterbacks, if they're not Josh Allen or Holmes.
Right.
Like not even Lamar. No.
Is your mic? Do you hear your mic, Iggy? I think you're distorting. Yeah, I think it's distorting a little bit. That's all. Yeah. Your XLR cable's coming out a little bit. That's all. That was it. That was what it was.
Better?
Yeah, much better. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't hear you.
Okay, so what I was saying was, yes, in this hypothetical, Purdy may be a better quarterback than Mayfield, younger, certainly. But if he's twice as expensive, I don't feel comfortable giving Purdy that. I don't really feel comfortable getting any quarterback $60 million a year unless it's Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Like even Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, like no.
But wait a minute. Now, hold on, wait a minute. You thought I was finished. So I'm just basically
yes, you were finished.
No, you have to see, you gotta Brock is still maturing though, right? You're still looking at Brock in a vacuum, right? We don't know what Brock is gonna do.
He's certainly still maturing, just like Baker's like 30 and still maturing. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, Brock is still maturing, but I mean, I'm just saying for the money, right? I just don't think that there's that much of a delta between the two for you to think for that to fit $30 million in difference of salary in there. That's why I would choose Baker. So I mean, honestly, I'm not married to any quarterback, understanding like knowing how easy it is to get him. There's a revolving door. And right about now, some of the best guys, I mean, look, like who's the kid? Bryce Young is trash. Like, dog, like you can't spend this type of money on a guy unless you know. And that's the thing about Brock, though.
They traded up for Bryce too. It's crazy.
It is nuts. And they didn't draft CJ Stroud, which is crazier. It's so wild. But
Bryce Young is 5'10".
Dude, they should be buried alive under the stadium. Like crazy. They should do that like on prime time. Like let instead of the game, they all need to have a human burial. And like
there's like 10 to 15 teams that are miserable with their quarterback. Like, how did we get this guy? Can we please get rid of at least 10 teams, maybe 15? The Jets being one of them.
The Jets.
God.
Like Aaron is just, you know what? I kind of feel like he has his fate though, because for him, he's going out in a way that I know he cares about because he's so pretentious. Like he looks like an old man and I know it bothers him.
Yeah.
Like he looks like the game is passing him by in the way where he doesn't look cool. And that's why it's awesome to me because I know it bothers him.
Mac Daddy says we got a huge red flag with CMC. Those injuries scream tear. No matter how healthy he feels, he could be gone all year.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to figure out if it's going to heal. They probably know exactly what it is. There's no way you don't put him on the slab and get an MRI to figure out what you're dealing with. And they're just trying to see that's the thing.
Like it's this close to rupturing, honestly. It sounds like they're scared shitless that he's going to tear it. And they're doing everything in their power to have that not happen. But this is the same team where Dre Greenlaw tore it last year. So I'm not super confident that the Niners can prevent this.
Well, and then another thing is that the reason why they're scared shitless that he's going to tear it, if he does tear it, because they know the right thing to do is to shut him down for the year.
Yes.
That's the right thing.
But shut him down. If they shut him down, even with Jordan Mason, this offense could fall off. Because again, Kyle's creativity, Brock's efficiency, Kittle, Debo, and
the offensive line,
they all benefit from this guy. Niner Empire DMV says rally behind Jordan Mason, play good football. I like that. Thomas Dela Cruz. But I mean, this is a great test for Brock too. Like, you really want to show that you can be the driving force of a Super Bowl champion. Boom, here you go.
We're gonna find out exactly what Brock is this year.
Yeah, let's say CMC goes down for the year, and the Niners win the Super Bowl. Yeah, pay Brock.
Yeah,
pay Brock. Whatever.
Do you think that Brock even has it in him to want the 60? Do you think I'm gonna say this right now?
Competitor.
I think Brock's gonna give us a hometown discount.
Maybe he will. But I don't think he wants to come away looking like a sucker or like he doesn't value himself or because I think a big part of who he is his confidence. Like, I'm not a game manager. I'm not a system quarterback. I'm a gunslinger. I'm elite. And so if he goes,
you think he thinks that?
Yes, absolutely. I do think he believes that. And if he goes to the negotiating table and says, "Look, guys, I understand that I'm a system quarterback and a game manager. Like, I'll just take 40 and we'll call it a day and we'll have a good team around me." Like, I don't think that's who he is, but I could be wrong.
I'd say, but I think 50 is the new 40 in today's climate.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You put it that way. You put it that way, Thomas.
So he's going to get 50.
All right. That'd be cool. Again, I think it'd be smart. Instead of fighting for every last million.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just put a target on your back for the next 5 years. Look at Kyler, Trevor Lawrence, all these guys. Take $5 million less. It's still hella money, and people like applaud you for being generous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yes. Take $5 million less. It's kind of genius. You're investing in your reputation.
Yeah, like you know that $5 million that you took less, you put that into your good name.
Like people still talk about Tom Brady doing that. He's one of the richest people in the freaking to come out of the NFL. It's like, man, that guy was just he wasn't about the money.
Oh my God,
he wasn't about the money.
Grant, let me say this. Yes. Tom Brady is one of the biggest frauds of all time. He gets his own players, his own teammates, and the guys that he played with across the league, they all applaud how much of a great guy he was. But none of them realize that Tom taking all of those team-friendly pay cuts all of those years killed the players' union year after year after year. He did no help for the players. And then to even give it more of a mindfuck is that the players that played with him, they looked at it as Tom's taking less money to help us stay on the team. This is amazing. So it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy, bro. Tom Brady, nobody will realize that he never, like, Kirk Cousins was the first fully guaranteed quarterback in NFL history.
It should have been Tom.
It should have been Tom.
We got to dip in about 2 minutes, but it should have been Tom. Thomas Delacruz says, for these results or lack thereof, should SF have let these guys hold out and not have paid them? Heads will roll. I mean, I think maybe there should have been the guy. What did Christian really do to get his? He sat out for like 2 practices. He didn't go to minicamp. No, he didn't go to minicamp. He didn't go to like a week of OTAs.
Yeah.
G.I. Jones says, I sent you the clip on X. What are we talking about? What clip are we talking about? I don't.
Go to his last super chat. It'll probably gain context. Remember, he gave us.
All right. I'll have to check it out later. Keith Murphy, the unbeaten, says Baltimore satisfied. I mean, as good as Lamar Jackson is, 2-time MVP. No, he hasn't done it in the playoffs yet. And that's a problem. And if he doesn't do it this year, they're going to have a huge decision to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like he could be the 3rd best quarterback in the league. That's the situation in the league. If you don't really have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes and you're spending that type of money, good luck. And that's the coaches meeting powered by BetUS. That's the coach. I'm Grant Cohn. Easily the best show on YouTube of the day. By far. Not even close.
By far.
By far. Thanks for watching. Oh, wait. Herbie Holland, stop with the CMC stuff. I don't care if the quarterback is who you think he is. This offense should be fine. It was fine with Jimmy G and Mostert. If Purdy is better than Jimmy G, roll with who you have. No excuses. No excuses.
No excuses.
Get rid of them. Pressure's on. This is great. The season just got very interesting, and yet the Niners are still expected to win this game easily. You know why? Sam. Oh, Sam.
Sam.
See you guys.